Hi there, it's Catherine from CatherinePuller.com. In today's video, I'm going to be using a really fun background stamp by The Ton, which is one of my new favorite companies. They started back in January and they have a whole line of very couture stamps which are super fun to play with. And my friend Laurel Beard is going to be playing along with me. She's going to use the same stamp, so I can't wait to see what she comes up with and how it's different from mine. And we are both using the mood board that kicked off the blog hop for our In the Mood class. If you haven't checked it out, it's still open for enrollment. So, all right, I am ready to get inky. I'm gonna use some Zig markers and I'm gonna do a watercoloring technique that really you can do with any water-based marker. So let's get started. So this stamp right here is the one that made me say, The Ton, you had me at hello. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's really different. I don't know, there might be stamps out there like that, but I haven't seen any and I've never owned any quite like this. So I thought it was really, really fun. And that is how I got hooked on The Ton. So the first thing I'm gonna do is ink that in Versamark, lay down my cardstock, and I'm using a scratch piece of paper. It's Eva's little introduction for her school project. She uses my paper cutter and cuts her little project pieces up, and then, of course, she leaves them laying around here. Why would she clean up, right? So it was a discard, so I'm using it to catch my embossing powder and to not get my fingers all sticky from this Versamark. So little did she know she was helping out her mama when she left her discards sitting on my desk. So I'm using this really cool embossing powder by Wow. Look at that. It's gorgeous. Let's see, what's it called? It's called Fool's Gold, and it kind of looks like it's pink. So I'm tapping off the excess, and then I'm just going to heat it. It'll take a minute. It's got this wonderful sparkle in it. Look at that sparkle. It's a little tricky to hold pieces like this, but I'm finding a spot that I can put my thumb into and hold that while it's getting embossed. Sometimes powders like this are a little tricky to tell when they're embossed, but you can see it's turning to a nice gold shimmer. It's a really unique powder. Before I move on, I wanted to show you what this looks like on black cardstock. Can you believe that? It's gorgeous. So black cardstock, it's beautiful. It really stands out and it's super bold. And then on white, it's gorgeous as well, but it gives a totally different look, doesn't it? So I'm pulling in my Zig markers, and I'm going to use these in a really kind of casual way. How about it? So the first thing I'm going to do is just add on some really light pink, and I'm just kind of throwing color on here. I'm not really worrying about it too much. Just kind of scribbling it on. I'm going to use a little bit of this light purple. Again, just scribbling it on. And then this beautiful magenta color. I just painted my toes this color. I love it. And I actually have shorts on right now that match that color, so I am all about that magenta. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this rose. Just kind of swiping color across. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of turquoise. Then I'm going to grab some greens and I'm going to do the leaves. And as I'm doing the leaves, I'm noticing some spots of the flowers that I missed. Now these Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, in case you haven't seen them or used them, they are a water-based ink inside, so they work like water-based markers like the Distress markers and the Spectrum Noir markers, and when you add water to them, they're going to bleed and blend. So I'm using Bristol paper, I don't think I mentioned that, and I'm just going to very gently spray on some water. And that's it. I'm just going to let it sit, and I'm going to let it dry, and the color is going to move a little, and I'm going to kind of let the chips fall where they may. There's a little bit of this purple and blue moving down here. Don't really want it in that pink and fuchsia flower. So I'll just kind of mop that up. I don't have so much color up here, so I'm just going to add a little more water. I said I'm letting the chips fall where they may, but look, I'm adding more color. So I guess I'm not doing that. All right, I'm going to stop touching it. I'm just going to let it dry. My watercolor piece is dry now, and it's taking up most of the card, which is fine, but I think I'm going to cut it down a little. I want this flower here to be a little bit more of the star, and I want to do some things on this cardstock base. It's just a half sheet, folded in half and cut in half. Usually you do them the other way so they're tall and not like, what is it? Landscape and portrait. Usually you do the portrait, right? Is that right? I always get confused. Anyway, I'm going to cut this down a little, but first I'm going to make a little accent piece. So I have a little piece of cardstock. It's the same width as the card base, and it's about 1/4 inch wide. So I'm covering it with Versamark, and then I'm going to add the Fool's Gold embossing powder to it, and then I'm going to heat it so I'll have a really cool glittery strip to accent it with. I'm just going to do the end first so I have something to hold on to. So I'm not quite finished embossing this, and I'm not going to finish because I'm deciding to just toss it. I'm not going to go that direction. I may do something else. I'll talk about that in a sec. But before I move on with that main image, I want to do some embossing paste on this background. So I have this really cool stencil that my friend Heather sent me. Thank you, Heather. It's a Jamie Doherty Bloom by Prima. I'm going to use a pearlescent embossing paste by Dreamweaver. And I'm just going to add a little to the top. So I'm just adding this on just like I would any embossing paste, and it gives a nice pearlescent sheen. We'll pull that off, and just the top of that is going to show. I'm using a greeting set by The Ton, and if you hop over to my blog, I'll have information for this, but I love the greetings in here because it's all fun, encouraging things that I can send to my girlies. Be yourself, everyone else is taken. I love that sentiment. So if I put this on here now, it's going to cover up a lot of that embossing. So I'm just going to trim a little bit off here. So I've added liquid adhesive to the back, and I'm just going to add this to the top of the card. And when I cut off what I cut off, I felt like it was a little too much. So I took the piece that I cut off and I cut that. And then I think it makes a fun little accent if I just put it right underneath the first panel, maybe put a little space between the two. So we'll just line this up right here, putting just a smidge of a space between the layers. And I think that adds a little fun accent to the card, and it still keeps the focus on that technique piece. Now, while I was creating this, I made another one. And so I'm making a second card, and it's almost the same, just different. I used all the exact same supplies, just the card layout is different. So thanks for stamping with me today. Hope you enjoyed the video tutorial. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment and let me know what your favorite part was. Was it the Fool's Gold? Was it the stamp itself? Was it the zig watercoloring? Or maybe the simple layout with the embossing paste in the background? I'm so happy you were here. I hope your day is awesome. I'll see you again soon.